Hey everybody, welcome to DG Creations, and today we are going to focus on a wood burning project. So in front of me I have all my materials that I will be using today, and I will be basically going through one by one, explaining what you need and what you need to do to prepare yourself before you start. So preparation is key. You want to have everything ready before you start. What you don't want to do is start and then having to get up and look for things. Get everything in front of you, get yourself ready, and then you'll be good to go. So right after this quick video I will do my project in a time-lapse video. So you'll get to see the quick process of how I go about doing my drawing to my wood burning all the way to the varnishing stage. So just to start off, you're going to need a piece of wood. So depending on what you want to do, obviously get your board. So here I have a 8x10. So as you can see, this one has some angles on side. This really helps with design and just aesthetically pleasing. So you want to get something that's nice looking, depending on what you want to do. So today I will be doing like a welcome sign. So I just want to get something nice and simple, nothing too big. So this is basically for a commission. So I'm just going to show you exactly what I'm going to do, just so you can get a feel for what you're going to do when you get started. So there's my board. I'll just put it down here. So moving forward, of course, you're going to need a wood burning kit. So the one I use in particular is a professional brand. So I have it right here and I'll show you. This is called a razor tip SK. So this in particular has one hookup, and you got the power button and the volume on like how high you want to turn on the heat. And basically your hookup for your pen, which has a straight edge tip. So this is the brand I look for. It really helps with nice quality line work. And if you just want to start off as a beginner, just to kind of see what the wood burning, like how it works, I would recommend like a cheaper brand just to kind of get yourself started, see if you actually like it. And if you really get into it, this is the brand I would suggest. This one is I really recommend it. I've been using this for quite a few years now, so, yeah, so I would recommend this machine. So I'll just put this down here. So moving forward, get yourself a pencil. I'll use a mechanical pencil or just a regular HB pencil, whatever you prefer. That'll be just to get your drawing down your board, because you don't want to start wood burning just from what you see. You want to actually draw something out first, because after that you're going to go over it with your wood burning tool. So just a quick mention of that, so that way you know before you get started. And so there. And one thing you're going to need after that, so basically after you're going to finish wood burning your artwork into your board, what I use is, in particular, maybe some other people don't use it, but my method of shading my work is wood stain. So if you look here, I get this brand here, Verithane. This is dark walnut. So this one I like in particular because it creates a dark, it's just almost really like a dark brown color, and it really adds a nice quality to the finish. So once I shade all the artwork, it really pops it out, and it really helps with the just visually. So it's, if you're going to do some graphics with like words, it really pops out, so it's really legible. So anything dark would be recommended. Don't get anything lighter, because it'll really just soak into the wood, and your words, if you're going to have graphics with words, it's not going to be as legible. So I recommend a darker stain. The only thing you got to watch out with that is it is a toxic, it has fumes, so you're going to want to wear a mask. So just wear that if you're going to do it indoors. And if you're going to use a lot of it, I would recommend working in a garage or working outside, depending where you live and what kind of weather you have outside. Don't go work outside in the cold. This doesn't set in as well, but this is a good brand I look forward to. So this will last you a long time, as long as you keep it nice and sealed. So going along with the stain, you're going to need a brush. So I would recommend just a fine tip brush, because if you're going to do some fine detailing, a fine brush would be better. So that's just to kind of show you what you can use. A fine brush if you're going to do anything with like a lot of darks. Get a broad tip brush. That'll really help with like speeding up the process. So yeah, make sure you have some brushes handy. Again, you won't need these right away. You're going to focus on wood burning, and then after that you can move along to your shading after, depending on like how much time you have. But basically, yeah, just get your brushes ready. Make sure you have the ones you need. So yeah, kind of do as you know, do what makes sense, right? And another thing you're gonna need obviously is your screwdriver. Make sure it's a flat one, because you're gonna need that to open your can. So make sure you pop that up, and then you'll be good to go. And one thing's for sure is when you get your board, when you buy your board, or if you're gonna custom make your board, you're gonna see it's gonna be really rough. You're gonna need sandpaper. So get one of these. There are different types. So I usually get the fine grit. That one's always better for like getting a nice smooth finish to it. So use a fine one. If it's really rough, get something that's a little coarser. So that will really help get basically the roughness out of the wood. And once you get down to the smoother part, then get a fine sandpaper, and then you'll just kind of get it to a nice smooth finish. And then after doing that, you'll be able to proceed to your drawing. So your first thing you're going to want to focus on is get your board. If it's already nice and finished and it really looks nice and smooth, then just go ahead and go and start. But just kind of give it a nice quick sanding just to kind of get the roughness out of it, and then you'll be good. So yeah, make sure you have your sandpaper, make sure you have your wood stain, your brush, your pencil, and obviously get yourself hooked up so you can start wood burning. And then another thing I want to mention is when you're staining, you're going to need some paper towels just to soak up the extra stain, because when you're basically dipping your brush in your stain, it's going to soak in a lot. So I usually wipe off the excess on a paper towel just to kind of thin it out a little bit, so that way you're not going to like just pour a bunch of, because by the time you put it in your graphics, you don't want it spreading everywhere where it's going to go right through your line work. It's just like drawing is on paper when you do in your shading. Whenever you start putting your stain in your graphics, basically just go in nice and easy, and the stain will just absorb and stain right out to the edges of the line. So it won't expand past that. It kind of creates a border, so that way it stays in between. So again, from my experience, I'm the only one that I work like basically using stain. So, but most people just use like different types of pens for their hookups for their wood burning machine that are created for shading. But me and personally, I find the wood stain goes so much faster, and it really speeds up the process. I've been doing this for just about 8 years now, doing commission work, and I just find it really helps me move along faster as far as my process goes. So right after this video, you'll see my process. I'll be doing my sign. It'll be done in a time-lapse mode, so that way you'll see how fast you'll kind of see it. You'll see it just happen. So there you have it. There's your video. You got to see everything in action. So I just want to finish this video off by just mentioning a couple more things. So at this point, when you're done your plaque, you're going to want to varnish it, and you're going to have to mount a backing on it. So just to show you here, so if you turn your plaque around, you're going to want to have something on the back to mount it on the wall. So usually what I use is one of these things. So I'll show you right here. So here you go. So something like that. There's some long ones, there's some short ones. Pick which one you want. This is a very small plaque, so it really doesn't matter on how big it is. But generally you want to keep a small one there. So put a nail on each side, nail it at the back, and then you're good to go. So I would suggest doing that first, and then once you get that on, then you're ready to varnish it. This is your final stage. So usually when I varnish, I put about 3 coats. Your first coat, you'll notice when the varnish dries up, it'll feel really rough. That's okay. What you're going to want to do is get a sanding paper, and at this point the kind of sanding paper you're going to want to use is the really fine one. So you don't want something too gritty looking or too coarse. That you want to avoid that at all costs. So at this point, keep with the fine sandpaper. So get a small sheet of those and get your first coat on there, and I'll show you here. This is the brand I get. It's a Varathane. These are meant for indoors, and it's a crystal clear coat, and they're also good for outdoors, but generally I use it for indoor stuff, especially for plaques. Anything that's just going on a wall, nobody's going to play with it or touch it, so it's going to be, it won't get fingerprints or anything like that. It's going to sit on the wall. The worst it's going to do is collect dust, but generally varnish is good. So over time you can actually clean your plaque and keep it maintained. So I suggest putting 3 coats. So when you get your first coat on, just make sure you get all the sides, get all around it, get it all over the surface. Really cover it really well. And I usually just get like just a little 2-inch brush. So something you get in a pack for $1 or something like that. So just get something cheap. You don't need anything special for that. So these are disposable. So get that first coat on there, get rid of that brush. That's just going to dry up after. You're not going to want to reuse it. So get a pack of them, and you'll go through them like easily. So basically get that first coat on. Once that dries up, usually takes about a good solid 2 hours. I'd wait about 2 hours, and it'll feel nice and dry. So go ahead and sand that off, give it a nice polishing, and then apply your second coat. So get a new brush again, get a second coat on there. Same process. You're going to want to wait till that dries, and then you're going to repeat the same process as before. You're going to want to sand it again. At this point it won't feel as rough. You'll get that smoother finish. So at this point, the first coat's already applied to your plaque, so that's going to be dry. Your second coat, that's going to give it an extra layer of protection. By the time you get to your third coat, you're adding enough to that wood that anything that will drip or if water gets on it, it will not be through the wood. It won't absorb in the wood. Basically, it'll protect it really well. So you'll get a nice perfect finish, and your plaque will look nice and neat, and then you'll be ready to mount that on the wall, which will be perfect for you. So there you have it, and I'm glad you got to watch this video. Hopefully you got to learn a few things from this, and use this as a beginner's guide. So basically just like a starter for anybody who's looking into starting as a wood burning artist. So yeah, hopefully this was good for you, and hope you enjoyed it. I'll be doing some more tutorials on other videos, so stay tuned, and thank you for watching. Bye.